Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosabel Oliveros, and I am here to present about the history of Italian literature. And I will also discuss who are the authors and writers at that time. So next, we have the authors and writers also. So first, we have Niccolo Machiavelli. He was born on May 3, 1469 in Florence, Italy to Bernardo di Niccolo Machiavelli, a lawyer, and his wife Bartolomea di Stefano Nelli, who was the oldest son of his parents, with two elder sisters. And a younger brother, Machiavelli was born during the period of French invasion when Italy was divided into four rival city-states and was ruled by the other stronger governments all over the rest of the Europe. So he was also an Italian Renaissance philosopher, diplomat, and author. Niccolo Machiavelli is remembered for his work, which is The Prince. He believed that the end of the intention behind any action justifies the action. So he gave rise to the term of Machiavellianism, which signifies the use of deceit and the treachery to achieve one goal. So next we have Dante Alighieri. Dante Alighieri was an Italian writer, poet, and philosopher. His work, Divine Comedy, is widely regarded as the greatest literary work ever produced in the Italian language and the most prominent poem of the Middle Ages. So often referred to as the father of the Italian language, Dante Alighieri played a crucial role in establishing the Italian literature. So, however, he was also an able statesman on the conspiracy of his political opponents. He had to spend the last part of his life in exile, pining thoughtlessly to return home, but died in Ravenna at the age of 56. Next, we have the Michelangelo. Michelangelo was born in di Lodovico Buonarroti Simoni on March 6, 1475 in Caprese, Republic of Florence, to Ludovico di Leonardo di Buonarroti Simoni, a magistrate, and his wife Francisca Neri. Michelangelo was the second of five sons in the family. He was also the Italian sculptor, painter, architect, and poet. Michelangelo was a prominent figure of the High Renaissance. He is credited to have influenced the Western art in unprecedented ways. He is widely regarded as the greatest artist of his age and one of the greatest artists of all time. He was equally revered and respected as an architect. So next we have Luigi Pirandello. Luigi Pirandello was an Italian novelist, short story writer, poet, and dramatist. Best remembered for his plays, Pirandello was honored with the prestigious Nobel Prize in Literature in 1934. An Italian nationalist, Pirandello supported fascism. He asked the fascist government to melt down his Nobel Prize medal for the Abyssinia campaign. He eventually also embarked on a writing career with the support of his friends and began publishing his works by the 1890s. However, an unexpected family crisis shattered his personal and professional life, and he was forced to refocus his career. So already an established writer of short story at this time, he went on to focus more on playwriting and emerged as one of the most innovative dramatists of the early 20th century. So next we have Umberto Eco. Umberto Eco, he was an Italian novelist. He is best remembered for his novels, which is The Name of the Rose and The Foucault's Pendulum Rather. He also taught at the University of Bologna and had released quite a few children's books and translations. He was also known for his work on semiotics and medieval studies. Although he himself did not have any work with the sphere of balance between history, reality, and fantasy in all of his fictional work. So next we have Giacomo Casanova. Giacomo Casanova was an Italian adventurer, and his best remembered for his memoir, Histoire de ma vie, which served as a mirror of 18th century European lifestyle. His countless appears made him synonymous, synonymous with the word of womanizer. He also befriended the European reality and church authorities, and was quite fond of gambling. Although he himself did not have any social standing at each place that managed associate with monarchs, aristocrats, and cardinals, so he would also have been good physician if he were allowed to pursue medicine. His memoir, Histoire de ma vie, written at the end of his life, provides one of the most authentic documentation of European society of that era. So next we have Giovanni Boccaccio. Giovanni Boccaccio was an Italian poet, writer, and the correspondent of Petrarch. An important Renaissance humanist, Boccaccio was also one of the most prominent personalities of 14th century European literature. A versatile writer, Giovanni Boccaccio is often viewed as the most important European prose writer of his generation. It is His works influenced popular personalities like Geoffrey Chaucer and Miguel de Cervantes. So Giovanni is he was known for reinventing the ottava rima and for his realistic dialogue, as opposed to the set pattern of plots rampant in the works of medieval writers. He was inspired by Dante's works, though he was a literary genius. Boccaccio spent most of his later life struggling with financial issues. He had even thought of burning his works once he breathed his last in Certaldo rather. So his works inspired many renowned writers and poets, including the likes of Chaucer and Shakespeare. So next we have Publius Ovidius Naso. Publius Ovidius Naso was a Roman poet. Publius Naso, better known as the Ovid, lived during the rule of Augustus. He is held at the par with Latin legends, Virgil and Horace. So he was also remembered for his mythological masterpiece, The Metamorphoses, a 15-book Latin poem. He spent his final years exiled in a city on the Black Sea. So, however, these works might have also earned the wrath of Emperor Augustus, who wanted to establish a more moral society. Subsequently, Ovid was banished to the age of the Roman Empire. So, where he lived and wrote until his death, he spent the rest of his life creating a vast body of works, so most of which survives till death. So while there is confusion about the chronology of his early works, most scholars believe Amores to be his first published work. So while his best-known work is Metamorphoses, published at almost a quarter of a century later. So next next author we have Petrarch, Francisco Petrarch rather. So he was an Italian scholar and poet during the early Italian Renaissance. Was one of the earliest humanists. Francisco Petrarch was inarguably one of the most influential poets in the world literature and has been rightly named as the father of Renaissance humanism. So Petrarch attempts to conciliate humanism with Christian faith, and his depth admiration for classical philosophy are well evident in his works. He wrote many love poems, which were largely exemplary than persuasive. So Petrarch, blessed fame, gave birth to many romantic poems, sonnets, letters, essays, histories, and also the philosophical essays. He was a wide traveler and highly introspective. And the last one of the authors is Giordano Bruno. Giordano Bruno was an Italian philosopher, friar, mathematician, cosmological theorist, poet, and hermetic occultist. So also the best remembered for his cosmological theories. Bruno insisted that the universe could have no center as it is infinite. So in 2004, Herbert Stephen founded the Giordano Bruno Foundation in Bruno's honor. So he was also one of the earliest individuals to conceptualize the notion of the stars being distant suns with their own planetary system, as well as to propose the possibility that these planets could be inhabited. This philosophical belief was called cosmic pluralism. So he also advocated the idea of an infinite space that does not have a center. So that would be all about the authors and the history of the Italian literature. And the last one, we have the literary text. It's all about the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri.
The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Once upon a time, Dante, an Italian poet, went to a forest all alone. In his travels in the forest, he sees a mountain nearby and tries to climb it. But his path is blocked by a lion, a leopard, and a wolf. Then, a spirit of Virgil, an ancient Roman poet and an idol of Dante, comes to help him through this obstacle and lead him through Inferno and Purgatory to heaven.
I was sent by Beatrice, your beloved, to help you on your way to her in paradise.
Virgil said. Dante and Virgil's first journey is in the first circle or the limbo.
We are now in the first circle of Inferno. The souls here are not sinners, but people who are not baptized. Either they lived before Christ when baptism has not yet spread, or they never got baptized. They reside in a castle with 7 gates, symbols of the 7 virtues. Oh! Some Greek and Roman philosophers, poets, and artists are also here, such as Homer, Ovid, Socrates, Cicero, and even Julius Caesar. Yes, and I am one of them.
As they passed the first circle and went to the second circle, or the last, Minos stands near the entrance, who decides where souls should be sent for torment.
This was more like hell.
Yes, it was. The souls here are lustful throughout their lives, so they were punished by strong winds blown over them, back and forth. Dante and Virgil notice many people of Greek and Roman antiquity, mythology, and history, such as Cleopatra, Tristan, and Helen of Troy. Then, when they've reached the third circle, or the gluttony, they see Cerberus, who watches over them.
The souls here are punished with icy, slushy rain that pours all over them without stopping. They are not permitted to stand, so the slushy water covers their entire body as they lie.
After they passed the third circle, they proceed to the fourth circle, or the Avarice. This circle was guarded by Pluto.
Why are they pushing very heavy weights up a mountain? Because the souls here are those who hoarded their possessions and those who spent sumptuously. Their punishment symbolized their lust for never-ending money and possessions.
Next is the fifth circle, or the Anger.
We're already in the fifth circle. The souls here are those found guilty of being angry and impatient. Their punishment is to gargle the water of the river Styx, made up of a black toxic liquid, struggle, and drown.
To be able to cross the fifth circle, Phlegyas helps Dante and Virgil get across this river Styx. Suddenly, a soul tries to climb up into a boat but gets pushed away.
Here's Filippo Argenti, my political enemy who confiscated his possessions when he was banished from Florence.
Furies threaten to summon Medusa so that she can turn Dante into stone because he does not belong in the world of the dead. But an angel arrives and opens the gate for them before Medusa is able to get to them. When they reached the sixth circle, or the heresy.
As you can see, the souls here are the people who have contrary opinions to Christian beliefs. They're they lie in tombs that burn them alive.
Then the passage to the seventh circle or the violence is blocked by a Minotaur. Virgil insults him, and the Minotaur bursts into a violent outrage, letting Dante and Virgil sneak past him.
All the souls who commit suicide are kept in this circle and become trees. Their leaves are eaten by harpies, which cause the trees a lot of pain.
In order to get out from the seventh to the eighth circle of Inferno, Virgil and Dante get help from Geryon. When they entered the eighth circle or the fraud, they noticed that this circle is divided into 10 Bogias. Malacoda is the leader who guards the entrance, and he deceives both Dante and Virgil by telling them that there are bridges in this circle and that they have nothing to worry about. In the journey from the 8th circle to the 9th circle of Dante's Inferno, they get help from Antaeus, a giant who carries them down the well, which is the path to the 9th and final circle of hell. The 9th circle, or the treachery, is made up of a lake where sinners here are submerged in ice. Only their heads stick out. As Dante and Virgil proceed through the lake, they see the giant figure of Lucifer, also stuck in ice. In order to get out of Inferno, Dante and Virgil must climb Lucifer's body. They manage to crawl out of the hole and find themselves on an island where they see a lot of bright stars and the Mount Purgatory. When they've reached Mount Purgatory, Dante and Virgil find a stand at the shore and see a boat arrive. On the boat, there are souls brought by an angel who climbed Mount Purgatory along with Dante to rid themselves of sins and proceed to heaven. In Purgatory, they have 7 terraces to journey through. Before they enter, an angel puts 7 peas on Dante's forehead. They correspond to the 7 deadly sins. The angel says that every time a terrace of a sin is surpassed, a pea will be removed. The first terrace is pride. There, Dante and Virgil see penitents carry heavy weights up the mountain of humility to cure them of their pride. The second terrace is dedicated to envy. The envious penitents there are treated by having their eyelids sewn shut with iron wire. Voices shout examples of punished envy to intensify the effect. The third terrace has to do with wrath. The penitents here are treated with black smoke that gets into their eyes and makes them blind. The fourth terrace is the slothful. They are punished by running without stopping or any rest. On the fifth terrace, they punish greedy and avarice souls. The punishment are tied by their feet and arms face down on the ground. In order to rid themselves of these sins, they must shout examples of poverty and generosity. When they passed the avarice, they felt a tremor, and they saw Statius, a Roman poet, and explained that the tremor meant that a soul was ready to go to paradise or heaven, and that was Statius himself. The sixth terrace is dedicated to gluttony. Here, penitents clean their souls by experiencing extreme hunger and thirst. The seventh and final terrace is lust. Here, the penitents walk in flames and shout out examples of chastity. As they reach the exit of the last terrace, Dante's last pea in his forehead removed by the angel. In order to proceed, he must go through a wall of flames that separates purgatory and paradise.
I'm afraid. I think my body could burn out. Cheer up and be brave, Dante. It was not just fire, but spiritual fire, so your body would not burn, and your beloved Beatrice was waiting for you in paradise.
So Dante agreed, and his body wasn't burned, but he could feel the heat of it. When they passed through the flames, they approached the banks of the river Lit, and suddenly Virgil disappears, and instead Beatrice appears in front of Dante. I'm glad that we see each other again.
I'm also glad to see you again. I miss you so much, and I would like to apologize for all of my sins.
So Beatrice joined Dante in his journey until the end of the paradise. they had passed the 9 spheres of paradise. The first sphere is the moon. The moon is the home for souls that broke their vows. Their words lacked courage and cannot be trusted. Then the second sphere is Mercury. There, Dante and Beatrice meet Justinian, who explains the history of ancient Rome. This sphere is situated too close to the sun. It represents those who did good deeds for fame and glory. The third sphere is Venus. There, Dante encounters Charles Martel of Anjou. He talks to Dante about the importance of societal diversity and improving its function by the inclusion of people with different backgrounds. The fourth sphere is the sphere of Sun. There, Saint Thomas, along with another 11 souls, explained to Dante the importance of not judging hastily and being aware of prudence. The fifth heavenly sphere is Mars. It has to do with warriors who died for their faith in God. The sixth sphere is Jupiter. It is a place of kings who display justice. A giant eagle speaks to Dante of divine justice and the rulers of the past, such as Constantine and Trajan. The seventh level of heaven is the sphere of Saturn. It is dedicated to those who live by temperance and pray vigorously all their lives. He witnesses people who climb up and down a golden ladder. Here, Dante meets Saint Peter Damian, who lectures him on corruption of clergy and predestination. They discuss the moral decline of the Institute of the Church. The eighth level is called the Fixed Stars. Here, Dante and Beatrice find the Virgin Mary and other biblical characters such as Adam, John, Peter, and James. They explain to Dante the complexities of heaven and Eden. Finally, they've reached the ninth sphere, that is known as the Primum Mobile. It is the place where angels and God live. Beatrice explains to Dante the story of the creation of the universe and angels' lives. They slowly ascend to Empyrean, the highest place in heaven. Once they get there, Dante becomes covered in light and it allows him to see God and the Holy Trinity. They saw God, and Dante apologized for all of his sins, and he was forgiven. After his journey has ended, Dante realized that God's love is eternal. He now fully understands the mystery of incarnation. The answer is blessed upon Dante by God's hand, and now he fully grasps the complete picture of the world. The end.